begin, I want to kind of cover the original legacy assets that were used originally in the game and kind of have been scrapped over time. This isn't all of them because some of the assets have been removed over time. A kind of example would be this one, which was removed, but I found an older untextured version that I was able to reapply textures to, so I have it back in game now. So yeah, beginning, the idea with a lot of these, mainly these was because we never fully settled, like originally, on being interior owned. Like most of our rooms now are kind of made to look like an interior. Originally, that wasn't the case. So originally, I was designing kind of a construction like cityscape that had bridges, had these buildings that you could see over the walls in some of the rooms. Uh, so yeah, these then were no longer utilized. These required the use of the toon shader for its black outlines that it applied. Uh, it was not like baked in because eventually we'd had issues with that where we'd have to apply it directly to textures. But stuff like this bridge would have been designed to have been breakable, so this would disable. Like a lot of these older assets, even some of them that are still being used, were designed with the idea of being destructible assets, where the bridge would be able to be turned off and it would drop enemies. Uh, Similar applies to this. Is these pipes are all assembled out of separate sections, with the frame being the main part, but everything else being disableable, which would leave just the frame. Over here we have the original floors, which did not tile well, to put it simply. We ended up simplifying the tiles, like the floors, a lot more. They're grates now at the moment. Originally, I was having patterns and stuff drawn onto them to kind of, like, just add a bit of interest to the floor, but it's not really a major requirement, especially, like, walls and decor kind of should be taking more of the interest than just the floors anyway. Over here, we have one that I originally designed to be a spawner of sorts. This is where enemies, the drone enemies, could have come out of, like, while we never really settled on a spawn point. Now they spawn from above. They kind of like, yeah, they spawn in, or just get deployed. Uh, Over here is the original train asset, which kind of got a funny reuse. This is the one that's not used in the game though. It's got all destructible parts as well. Uh, Over here we have two of the other doors that were originally designed. One of them is actually still used to this day. It is the main door, but these were two other concepts that are not used. These are a bit taller, and the other one kind of had more of a simple functionality, which is why it kind of got adopted compared to these. I would like to bring these back as decor, so I'd strip this off and just kind of keep it simple, uh, but did not get around to that. Uh, this was another piece of decor that was kind of scrapped, a bit too large. It never had its textures applied for the outlines drawn onto the texture. Uh, some other miscellaneous assets from like the original prototype, the shelves that were applied to some of the levels layouts from the original. Uh, these are this is one of the wall designs that utilize the pipes. There's a taller version of this that has been deleted from the project. These are the pillars. They're still used, just a new texture applied. Well, the UV's redone. They still use the same tile sets, just the lines were manually drawn on now. Uh, this is a semi-older version of the currently used walls, because these ones still have the slant. These walls went through like probably 8 or 9 renditions. There was a lot of different variants that they've been replacing each other over time, so a lot of them are lost now. But they used to be a lot taller, with a lot more detail on the walls, but they've kind of been simplified over time as they've been shortened. This is the one that was used in the prototypes. Uh, it's a good bit shorter than the one currently used because the camera angle has been changed over time, so we could kind of get away with it now. This used to be the optimal height to not block the player. Uh, we've got a room layout. This is one of the old room layouts. It kind of has other assets, sorry, which is train tunnels. Uh, Stuff like this, yeah, would have been scrapped. Probably like for the better. It'd probably be too confusing having multiple doors. But I said that, but we found ways to kind of implement doors into the map without looking like interactables. But yeah, these are one of the like older rooms. They're very small, kind of simple. If we move on, this is the original boss room. It has these wall prefabs have been altered over time, so they no longer are in their correct positions. But this kind of shows the original Colosseum layout we had. There's destructible walls. There is another version of this that I could spawn in. Uh, it's this one that uses the original walls. This was kind of the layout of the walls. Yeah, these would have been laid out the same, but it would have been altered for the new boss room, so it doesn't apply anymore. Uh, yeah, so the assets in the boss room are all made to be like unique from every other room, kind of allowed to stand out a bit. Uh, but because of orthographic, the circle did not work. But yeah, I ended up completing this, and I think the same day we swapped the room layout, so this was never properly utilized. But most of the assets got repurposed, so it's not a big deal. You can see sections, these have gotten rescaled, so they're not accurate anymore, but there was wall variants. Floor as well is unique. It's the only room that has this. Moving on to stuff that is actually in the game, we have the tutorial that I designed. This went through some alterations before Comic Con. It got a bit wider in its layout. This connects directly to the hub world. If I remember, this has about 46 unique assets applied in it. And I did not utilize tile maps for this one, unlike a lot of the room layouts, which was both kind of a good decision and a bad, because it kind of led for a bit more unique, more of a unique design for every part. In exchange, it meant texture and everything, but also it meant that the UV process was a bit easier because I did not have to have every object have perfect UVs to line up with having the blackout lines. And it would have taken longer for UVs if I did tile maps, and it would have been very difficult to like plan out every single object's texture into a UV tile map. So do not regret. One kind of interesting thing is because the train yard was designed before the tutorial, like the train yard assets were being designed before the tutorial was settled on. There was some stuff I missed out on to like actually make for the tutorial because there was no like set objects required. It was just make train station assets, which meant I made no doors, which gave me the idea to utilize trains instead of doors, so that trains would move up and act as the door, the block for each room, which I think is a bit more interesting. The limitations kind of make more interesting ideas. This pressure plate as well is another example. I did not have an actual model for one, so the texture is, I believe, a U-beam. Oh no, it's the sheet metal texture just applied to a cube. It's not UV'd for, so it is an incorrect texture, but it looks fine. You don't really notice it. Yeah, and then these are train station assets that were not technically made for a tutorial, but they were applied here as well because they work. Over here I have the actual layout of all of the different models. I got all the trains. They're slightly different sizes because these are meant to be more civilian, and then industrial trains. This one is not really utilized in game right now, but it was designed for the player to be able to go in, and all the walls are toggleable. They're all separate so that you could see the player, but at the moment the player just spawns outside of it. We got stuff like shipping containers, a lot of roof assets for something that is barely used. It is only used over here as a background asset, but yeah, the roofs have their own supports and everything that are not visible at all in the final game, which is great. Some of these aren't scaled because they were not used. The shorter walls were not used, but the taller walls were, so the taller walls are more scaled correctly. It brings in like a different issue, which was my Blender not liking the FBX scale and doubling the size. Even when set to FBX scale, it was double Unity scale. Not a big issue, but it just meant scaling some stuff. Over here we have the train tracks, just simple. There's a lot of different train tracks, fun enough, in this project because they were utilized in the prototype, but a lot of them were more futuristic. This being a train yard, that just made them more realistic and normal. We have stuff like a nice little just train tower, a lot of brick walls, sheet metal, the barrels, and target dummies. Stuff like the wooden plank I don't believe are utilized at all in the tutorial. Neither are the U-beams, which is why they're not scaled. The lever, we got the couplers, I suppose, for the trains. Just these connect. These are on all the trains. These are nice train warehouses. We got the nice electrical towers and their wires, and then the train wheels, which were separate to be applied. And this nice little cargo grabby thing. Is all separate. It's not really animated, so there's no actual utilization of this, but they were made separate. And a traffic light, just yeah. Moving on. This is the actual in-game boss room. This was laid out by Jacob after. So yeah, it still utilizes most of the assets I made, apart from the floor, pretty much. Yeah. So yeah, these are all the boss assets that were made for it. Just a pillar, some pipes, the door. Actual door there is gone missing, has been removed. At some point, it got replaced, so there was an actual door to go with the frame. These were kind of designed after there's these acid like droppers in Resident Evil 3, the remake of it, that were in like a Coliseum room for a boss fight. It's kind of what I based the room on originally. Because it's very industrial look. It kind of looked like it just fit with our molten spearing boss. This the floor, as I've said, it's not utilized anywhere now. Onto like rooms I laid out is I believe this is 5. Yeah, 5. So a lot of these rooms still kind of have aspects of destructibility. These are Jacob's little fences. These are all destructible. We got some of the old assets. These are set up to be destructible, but they're not at the moment. These are from the prototype. They're still around. These two. Yeah, it's got the fully separable parts. Yeah, this is just designed to be a machinery room. A lot of space. I guess I could say these are the final used doors. They've been shortened, altered. Jacob would have reapplied my tile maps, like redid the UVs a bit to add the blackout lines. this room had to be altered a bit. Like these were drawn up on whiteboard. This room did not work so well because it was impossible to see in this corner because it had this exact layout here, over here, and so that was changed. I think that having it a bit asymmetrical is better though. It makes it a bit more interesting. Yeah, these are the old trains being utilized as shelves, which I think is kind of funny. They're being reused as containers. These are kind of based on the Combine trains from Half-Life, was the original idea. Is the inspiration, yeah. Onto this room. This is room 7. Quite like this room. It's pretty simple decoration-wise, but I think these nice little triangles just make it look interesting. A lot of destructible railings. Just adds a nice feel and destructibility, I think, in games, which is why I want to bring back some of the destructible assets, which hopefully we will. Onto this room, this is another one I made. This was the entry train room, which is what the train station assets were actually made for, but then subsequently brought back to the hub world because the hub world needed a platform so the player could actually get on the train. These are kind of what I mentioned with doors that are in the world but are not utilized as actual doors. Like, I think the indicators make it pretty clear which doors are functional. If the player ever makes a mistake with the door, only make it once, I feel, so it's not a big deal. It's put into the first room, pretty much. I think, yeah, just a bit of game sense, you'll know, so that's fine. But yeah, this shows off a couple more of the asset layouts. This room specifically is it has it's going to have an exit variant as well, but it was left out because we had the endless mode for Comic Con. Onto this then, this is assets that are kind of still being utilized as well. We got these stairs, which are this is kind of when we were unsure about scaling. Some of these were added, but like I think this still applies skill wise. It was never textured though. It was kind of applied. This is one I think that was added at a similar time. No textures either, just a nice machine claw. Onto this, yeah. I don't believe this is anywhere, but this was set up to be functional. Forklift wheels and everything. Steering wheel works. Scaling's kind of strange, but easy enough fix. This has like its textures and stuff, but this just is nowhere in the game at the moment. This was a carrier machine I made that has fully rotatable parts. It was designed for just holding something, which we sold on in transport for all the robots, the robot models, the enemy robot models. It's like over here, they're actually set up properly compared to just the model version. Kind of adjustable for the size of the model. These are kind of based off of Evangelion, the areas where the units are launched from. Good inspiration, I think, for kind of mech holders. So yeah, there's the correct scale version for the boss, and then there's the scaled down version. Over here is the tile sets. These are what's being utilized for a majority of the textures in the game. Yeah. This was the original one, and then this was a darker version. They mostly match up on most parts, so they kind of are interchangeable with some exceptions where it does not really matter since the floors were scrapped. This is kind of cleared out for just other stuff. Yeah, these are the aforementioned destructible objects. Some of the machinery, Jacob would have been animating these. They're all set up to move stuff. This was the bullet trays that move up rounds and drop them in here, and then it implied moved between machines. This one dropped ingots in and refined them, and dropped them down a hole here, so the tray would eject them out. And then this was just a scrap machine. There's the railgun assembly, which just holds a giant railgun that's assembling. This was, I think, was originally we were going to be designing this for the boss, but that just was not the case. It's just assembling a railgun that's not really used anywhere. This was never animated, but this was bullets. This is like a bullet machine. It just drop in bullets here. This device would then compress them down, and had this little thing functioning as well. These were just molten pots, kind of to add, because a lot of the decisions for what assets, there's nothing specific, so I was just allowed to kind of work off what I thought. There's more just have a molten room for and then a room for manufacturing stuff, or the general, what I was told, and then I just make whatever I figured, just make something that looks like it could function as machinery. Yeah, here they are, the train assets from over here, the shelf version of it. These are railings. These were made in prototype. They're not even textured properly, but they are utilized in one of the rooms. This one, yeah, since they're a small part, I don't think it matters too much. It looks fine. And yeah, these are the actual applied walls. They don't have the angles anymore. They have nice little pillars. And then the door. So yeah, this was a small platform, not really utilized anywhere. To the nice little train stop. Looks very comfy. Yeah. No. And yeah, it's a train platform, and then there's these nice little railings. That are there they are. Well, I do have another version, a separate object. These are, yeah, the fake doors as mentioned. I believe these do, yeah. I did make them as possible functional doors, but I kind of realized that like keeping a consistent door design for this entire level is just like a smart decision. It's not confusing. It will not confuse people. Having like weird different doors everywhere is just not a good decision. At least like for functional doors, have them clearly just not look like they work. Uh, these are upper walls for train station. I don't think they're utilized at all. Common theme here. These are the taller walls for the train station, and then the shorter walls. Uh, these are kind of designed to look somewhat different from, like, they kind of had to somewhat resemble everything else, but I made them a lot more shiny. It's just kind of a standout room. I feel like stuff like the boss room and the entry and exit room should have like a clear standout design, and that's what these were designed for. The train tunnels, not much to say, just a Looney Tunes black wall that the trains phase through, but you can't go through. These are the large pillars. These are computers that are like barely visible, but yeah, they do exist. They're very hard to see without proper lighting. Uh, so I think this was the first implementation of the boss, because me and Jacob would have kind of swapped jobs at some point for a week, where he was more on environmental stuff, where he made his own little piece of machinery, and that's when I made the boss model. It was before December, and I think it would have been textured by Jacob at some point in like January. Yeah, this was designed to be modular, so all the parts are separate, as you can see. Uh, like it has all the parts pulled off compared to the final boss version. So yeah, Jacob's texturing my model. Uh, Pretty happy with this. I did kind of wing it a little. I had like a general idea of what I wanted to make, kind of a spidery design. But I did not look at concept. Like I looked at an original concept at the start and then kind of winged it without looking at it again. And this was the result. I think pretty good for that, all things considered. This is just the main body part to kind of show what's separatable. If I disable the full main section, you can kind of see everything that is like made to be destructible. Uh, these all can fall off. Yep. Uh, and Originally I would have made since I was making the concept design for the boss, I also made the original like write-up for the boss's moveset and kind of general mechanics, which got somewhat altered, but kind of kept the main design, because it would have been left for like it would have been done Christmas break, I think, and it would have been left until maybe a month before Comic Con is when we actually started going through what I wrote up. So some of that was kind of forgotten by me, like some of my reasoning, but for the most part, it still kind of like functioned ideal, like as an idea. Uh, but a lot of these things, because originally this was all being designed as level 2, which is the naming scheme of everything, is environment 2. Everything is level 2. Uh, so that kind of applies to the boss as well. It wasn't designed to be the first boss, but kind of, because of how things are going, that is now the first boss. I was designed to be a zoning boss, the boss to try and trap you into a location with its lasers, and then smash into you. And like yeah, it was kind of more of a it was less designed as a tutorial boss, but probably better that it ended up becoming a tutorial boss, because I did kind of keep it simple for programming's sake, which I think made it work better as a tutorial boss anyway. It does kind of teach the player to understand zoning. Uh, but yeah, I think a lot of the models held up despite our loss of the Toon shader. At some point, me and Jacob did decide on texturing the textures before we lost it, because it just felt something was wrong with the environment. We kind of had a discussion about it, and we decided to draw on the lines, which was kind of a bit of a clutch. It kind of saved the design after Toon shader couldn't be used. Uh, is there anything else? I guess I could talk about what I want to implement. Uh, for like general, because like the moment, like since the environment does function, I don't have anything major to do as the main environment artist. Like the environment is there, so like mainly what I'd like to do is kind of go back to the destructible assets, but that is going to be maybe a little bit of a hassle for, I would say, Jacob implementing. He would have to actually implement them, getting destroyed, since he's already done it for the railings. But yeah, I'd like to design more stuff like that. I'm kind of sad about these ones where it was walls that had like destructible little bits. So enemies missing you, or you missing enemies, would start destroying the walls without just allowing the player to go through a wall, since it had like the extra layer of concrete behind it. So things I'd like to work on is bringing back some of the destructible stuff. Like, I think it feels good, as long as we don't overdo it and tank the performance of the game. I think that's good. Uh, Also, just more room variants in general. I think we got good variety, but also on that, I'd like to design more like models for room specific stuff. Being like a construction area, a factory, I feel like there's some stuff like it's kind of hard to decide on some specific, with a lot of it being machinery. But we kind of did separate some rooms idea wise. I'd like to come up with more, maybe management rooms, just to add a bit more interest. We do have like, I guess like the main divider is like the rooms for like destroying stuff have the alternate tile set colors, which make the rooms a lot darker. I'd like to have more stuff kind of like that, just more visually different. Kind of like, ooh, this is a room I haven't seen yet, instead of kind of variations on similar rooms. Just gameplay wise though, they do have different layouts that do function, but visually, I'd like to have a bit more on that. So that would require a bit more on the asset side for me.